Speaking of Bud, I know he retired, but if he did come out of retirement, who you got in a rematch, him or Canelo?
I think Bud would knock him out.
What if I told you that the biggest win in modern boxing history was essentially a sparring match? We all watched Terence Crawford make history in September, dismantling Canelo Alvarez in a performance that solidified his spot as the #1 fighter on the planet. The world saw a masterclass. We saw a tactical dismantling of a Mexican legend. But according to the one man who knows Crawford better than almost anyone else, we didn't see everything. In fact, we might have witnessed Crawford fighting with the parking brake on.
Where does Canelo go from here, Henry?
He needs to rematch. If I'm Canelo, I want to rematch Terence Crawford. He got schooled, bro. He got outboxed dude by Terence Crawford. And I know that he's itching to get that one back. The first time he fought Triple G, he came back the second time, and he legit beat Triple G.
Once in a lifetime fight. It doesn't need to be a rematch. I think Bud would do worse the next fight. He would put it on Canelo a little worse than that, because that style of fight, I don't think he beats someone like Terence Crawford. But if I'm Terence Crawford, of course I'll fight him again. But this time, I'm the A side. I think Terence Crawford is going to be more confident next time, knowing that I can punch with this guy. I can take his shot. I'm faster.
He fought Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
He didn't do what the last dude did, just run. He threw at him. I'm going to call your bluff, bro. I'm going to fight you.
Shakur Stevenson has just come forward with a revelation that changes how we look at that historic night. While the rest of us were celebrating the decision victory, Shakur claims that Crawford wasn't just winning, he was showing mercy. There is a terrifying implication floating around the boxing world right now, that Terence Crawford walked into the ring with the face of boxing, beat him easily, and decided not to knock him out. And if Canelo Alvarez is foolish enough to sign the contract for a rematch, that mercy will not be there a second time.
He has an 85+ chance to beat Canelo. Why? He's not going in there to prove something, which will fall into Canelo's hand. He would love for him to prove something. That means you will stay there and try to prove something. But to go in there and to let him know, establish that from the first round, that I belong without showing that I am tough. I earned my position to be here. And I want to show you, even though you're being stubborn, that your time not only have came, but it's gone. He ain't gonna surrender and say I slowed up, so I'm gonna act like it. No, he has to be shown, and it has to be early.
Let's dig into what was actually said, because the context here is chilling. In a recent sit-down, Shakur Stevenson opened up about what was really going through Crawford's mind during those 12 rounds. Most fans saw a competitive, high-level chess match, but Shakur, with his trained eye, saw something else entirely. He insists that there were specific moments in the fight where Crawford had Canelo hurt, or at least vulnerable, and made a conscious decision to step back. Shakur described it as Crawford having another gear that he simply refused to use. It wasn't that he couldn't finish Canelo, it's that he didn't need to. Imagine the level of confidence it takes to be in the ring with a puncher like Canelo Alvarez. Realize you have the opening to end it, and think, no, let's just stick to the game plan. Shakur believes Crawford treated the fight like a veteran bank robber. Get in, secure the bag, and get out without taking a scratch. The knockout was there, sitting on the table, but Crawford chose the path of least resistance. It makes you wonder, if the best version of Canelo Alvarez couldn't even force Crawford out of second gear, does anyone stand a chance?
Speaking of Bud, I know he retired, but if he did come out of retirement, who you got in a rematch, him or Canelo?
I think Bud would knock him out the next time. Yeah, I think Canelo is one of the hardest dudes to knock out, but I think it was points in that fight where you could tell Bud wanted to like step it up and push on the gas a little bit more. But he's like, shit, the name of the game is win. So he did like the veteran thing to do. But you could tell like deeper inside of the way Bud thinking, his mentality, that he knew he had another gear that he could have took it to. And that was like the ultimate highest level already. So it's like he can even go past that is what he kind of knew. So I think the next time he probably would be like, that, let's take it to that next gear and try to get Canelo out of there.
Yeah, that would be crazy if he knocked Canelo out.
Yeah.
To understand why Crawford didn't go for the kill, you have to understand the atmosphere in that corner. Shakur wasn't just a passive observer that night. He was practically in the ring with him emotionally. he admitted that during the middle rounds, when the momentum started to shift heavily in Bud's favor, he was screaming his lungs out from ringside. His advice wasn't, "Go finish him." It was the exact opposite. He was yelling, "Keep boxing. This is easy work."
Yeah, I thought he was a stronger fighter when I seen him fight. Yeah, I was screaming the whole time like, "Shit, keep boxing, champ, keep boxing. That we ain't got to take no risks. We winning this easy. This easy work." But you know, he kept doing what he was doing. That was a veteran move.
This gives us a rare glimpse into the mindset of this camp. While the fans wanted blood and the promoters wanted a highlight reel finish, Shakur and the team were focused on the 0 in the loss column. Shakur recalls thinking that they were winning so easily that taking a risk was foolish. Why trade punches with a guy known for his granite chin when you can simply outclass him for 45 minutes? It validates the idea that the fight we saw wasn't a struggle for survival, it was a disciplined execution. Crawford wasn't fighting for the fans that night, he was fighting for the win. But that safety-first approach is exactly why Shakur thinks a rematch would be a completely different and much more violent movie.
Canelo brings him to that Rushmore status.
Well, yeah, because of who Canelo is and what he's accomplished and the weight disparity. Yeah, I can see that. You know, that put him over the edge. But, you know what I mean? Because, like I say, you do need us. It is the victories that you have that propel the people in the people's mind, not just your skill set. You know, it's the skill set you apply with the other great fighters. And I think he did that, and it was a dominant victory as well. So I can see that. That solidified it.
Vince got the leftover of the best. Like, you know what I mean? It was Spence. There was a couple more walks away.
How was Spence a leftover?
The leftover.
How was Spence a leftover?
One of them, bro. I don't care about nope.
Okay, but listen to this. When I hear him say that, tell me, how was Spencer leftover? Spence was undefeated.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. He broke Ugas's face. He beat Danny, who was still a formidable champ. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah.
So how was Spencer?
Opponent.
How was Spencer a leftover?
Yeah, nah, I don't agree. Definitely not a leftover.
Nah, not at all.
So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just, and then another thing at the same time, he couldn't get them fights. Them guys, that is on personal record. It's on record if you want to research it. It's on record that each one of those guys, they treated Bud so bad. They were so weak, and boxing and sport is supposed to be different. They were so trash that they had, on one of them PBC shows, they had all these banners up of the top welterweights and did not have Bud Crawford on the banner. They had Mikey Garcia on the banner and hadn't even fought at welterweight. Hadn't beat not a single welterweight. They had him as a top welterweight based on his accomplishments at 26 and 30 and 140. He never even beat a top welterweight. But Bud was a world champion at welterweight, a reigning world champion. And they had a list of banners of champions, of banners of the best welterweights, and he wasn't up there.
This obsession with high IQ, low-risk boxing doesn't come from nowhere. To understand Shakur's perspective on Crawford, you have to look at the man they both call Big Brother, Andre Ward. In the same conversation, Shakur peeled back the curtain on his own development, revealing that his boxing genius was forged in the early hours of the morning, watching old tapes of Ward until 5 a.m.
Yep. People don't know that. Like, you know what's crazy? When I was a kid, when I first started getting to a higher level in boxing as an amateur, Andre Ward was the guy who I used to just sit up and watch all night long. I stay up till 5 a.m. just sitting there watching Andre Ward tape. So he was the guy. That was the last guy who won an Olympic gold medal. That's my guy. That's my big brother.
He calls Andre Ward the greatest inside fighter he has ever seen, a sentiment that isn't thrown around lightly. When you watch how Crawford dismantled Canelo, you see the fingerprints of that mentorship. It's that ability to control the distance, to smother the opponent's offense, and to win rounds without taking damage. Shakur respects the boring win because he understands the mastery required to pull it off. He knows that what looks like running to a casual fan is actually a masterclass in distance management. This connection to Ward solidifies why Shakur is so confident in his analysis. He isn't just a hype man, he's a student of the game who recognizes that Crawford is operating on a frequency that Canelo simply couldn't tune into.
Crawford, skill for skill, I ain't never been in the ring with nobody more skillful than Crawford. And at that time, I had no clue that this dude could even fight from the orthodox stance. He didn't even switch orthodox. But you can see his wrestling background also. You know what I'm saying? When he put his chin on my back and he kind of rolled around me and got out of the corner. You saw that old lay where he's stepping around me and pushing me to the side, man. Or the head control. Crawford was so advanced at an early age, 23 years old, man. And with 12 fights, professional fights, he was so damn advanced. I was like, wow. This dude gonna take over the sport. This dude is more than just a sparring partner. This man right here is a damn world champion.
Of course, whenever Shakur speaks about Crawford, the internet lights up with accusations of bias. They say that's his brother. Of course he's gonna say he could have knocked him out. And it's a fair point. Loyalty runs deep in boxing. But we have to look at the track record. Before the first fight took place, when the odds were close and pundits were split, Shakur was one of the few voices screaming that it wouldn't be competitive. He told anyone who would listen that Crawford would cook Canelo.
Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would like apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's like physically kind of big, but like height-wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so. No.
Corey, have you got a decision to stop it? Because Breadman and Boozy think that Bud actually might stop it.
Me and Boozy talked about that. That's crazy. Me and him got on the phone and talked about it, but I think that's possible. Like, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that Bud could crack too. So
he was right. He predicted that Canelo's width and power wouldn't matter because Crawford's reach and timing would neutralize it. So when he comes out now, months after the fight, and says that Crawford held back, we have to take it seriously. This isn't just blind loyalty. It's a proven analyst telling us what he sees. The narrative that Crawford saved Canelo from a knockout might sound arrogant, but given how accurate Shakur's previous predictions were, it's a scenario we can't ignore. If Crawford truly has a level above what we saw in September, the pound-for-pound debate isn't just over. It was never really a contest. But Shakur didn't just make headlines for his Crawford comments. He also found himself in the crosshairs of a completely different controversy, his association with Jake Paul. This is where things get interesting because it ties back into that same theme of high IQ. For years, Shakur claimed he wouldn't watch Jake Paul fights, dismissing the spectacle. Yet, recently, he was seen sparring and working with the influencer-turned-boxer, leading to cries of sellout from the purists. Shakur's response? It was strictly business. He flipped the script, explaining that his time with Paul wasn't about boxing technique. It was about studying a great mind. He pointed out something that many critics ignore. Jake Paul single-handedly changed the financial landscape of women's boxing. Female fighters who were fighting for peanuts are now seeing million-dollar paydays, all because of the disruption Paul caused. Shakur respected the hustle. He wanted to understand the thought process of a man who could break the sport's economy. It shows that Shakur, like Crawford, values effectiveness over perception. Whether it's winning a boring fight safely or learning from a controversial YouTuber, the goal is always the same: success by any means necessary.
When his fight first got made, I'm not watching it. Like, I still wasn't gonna watch it because I still didn't believe, to me, like that was it wasn't that type of like event for me. I'm not into it. I love boxing. Like, I love stuff that makes sense, like boxing at the highest level. I watch that. There's certain fights nowadays where if I see the two fighters that's fighting and they not on the level or it's a fight that don't make sense, I might not watch. And I think that's how people kind of took it as like, oh, but you not gonna watch, but you'll go spar him. Yeah, it's a business at the end of the day. It's a opportunity to meet somebody with a great mind. If you watch Jake Paul, it's not just boxing. Like, I wasn't there for just boxing. I wanted to, like, the questions of the business, like how he think, like that guy is changing a whole entire female sport. Like, how did you even think of getting to do that? Like, that's crazy. Now female fighters is making $1 million. They never thought that that would even be possible until Jake Paul came in the game. So truthfully, bro, like, from my side, it's like, shit, I wanna, like, what made you even get to that thought process? Like, I wanna change the entire female sport. Like, with my platform, this is how I wanna do it. And I respect him. I respect great business minds, people who think on a higher level than just this. There's a lot of people that think like this, and their brains can't reach to that top level. So I respect them.
So, where does this leave us with Canelo and Crawford? If the rumors are true and Canelo exercises his rematch clause, he might be walking into a trap. Shakur's warning was clear. In the first fight, Crawford was content to win on points. He proved his superiority. He took the belts. But in a rematch, the motivation changes. The veteran mindset of securing the win is already satisfied. The next goal is a statement. Shakur believes that if they run it back, Crawford will unleash that next gear. He won't be listening to the corner screaming, "Keep boxing," this time. He'll be looking to close the show. The psychological edge is entirely with Crawford now. He knows he can hurt Canelo. He knows he can outbox him. And if he decides to plant his feet and trade, Shakur is convinced that the Mexican superstar won't hear the final bell. It transforms a potential rematch from a redemption arc for Canelo into a dangerous legacy gamble. Does he really want to find out what happens when the nice guy stops playing nice?
Great Mexican fighters have a good history of taking L's and coming back in a big way. They do. Barrera got knocked out by Junior Jones, then he got dismantled by Manny Pacquiao, and both times people were like, oh, he might be done. And he came back and became a champion. Chavez would come back and become champion. So there's good pedigree for a great Mexican fighter like Canelo to take that loss and come back and win, which I think he's capable of. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I might favor Hamza Shiraz to beat him right now, though. Shiraz is big at 6'3". He's fast. He punches hard.
A lot right there in front of him.
And he's hungry and he's humble.
Yeah.
And I think Turkey wants to see him become a champion in the Middle East and kind of build around him in those events. I think that's a great fight. I might favor Shiraz right now. Canelo's made a lot of money. He doesn't really fight at a high pace these days. So I don't count the great Canelo Alvarez out. But some of those Mexican fighters I mentioned, they didn't make as much money. They weren't on as many silk sheets as Canelo was. So I think it might be Shiraz's division.
And you got to imagine that Canelo's almost done. So for Canelo to go out with a win over Shiraz on that kind of platform, that kind of moment, that kind of money that really would stamp his career, you know. And I feel like his career is already stamped.
It is.
What more do you really need to do? But that really would put that stamp. You know, you drop this one with Terence. That's the comeback right there. That's the story that trumps losing to Terence Crawford. You know what I mean? So I think that would be a beautiful way for him to go out. Obviously, should that fight happen, and should he have, you know, the upper hand in that fight, you count him out, and you think that Shiraz might possibly win that fight. But I think that Canelo still got enough gas in the tank.
We often talk about fighters leaving it all in the ring, but it's rare to hear about a fighter who wins the biggest fight of his life while holding something back. Shakur Stevenson has painted a picture of Terence Crawford that is far scarier than the one we saw on Fight Night, a version of the champion who chose mercy over violence. As the boxing world waits to see if Canelo will trigger the rematch, he has to ask himself a very difficult question. Is it worth stepping back in with a man who treated the first fight like a practice session? Because if Shakur is right, the next time the bell rings, Crawford won't be looking to outpoint him. He'll be looking to turn the lights out. And in the brutal sport of boxing, there is no more dangerous opponent than a master who has decided to stop playing games.
Like the first 3 rounds, you were trying to just figure them out. Was that the game plan and start turning it up maybe in round 4?
Well, the first 3 rounds, you know, I felt like I was in control. You know, I think he was trying to figure me out.
Did you feel that you were frustrating him? He tried to lift you up. He headbutted you. Were you sensing that you were frustrating him?
Of course. You know, he was a little frustrated in there, but that's part of the game.
The last question is, I know it's right after the fight. Have you feel yet the significance of this win and what it means in your legacy and your career?
To be honest, when I set my sights on doing something and I know what I'm capable of, it's not like a surprise to me. It's a surprise to y'all because y'all didn't believe me, you know? But for me, I knew I could do it, and I believed that I could do it. I just needed the opportunity.
Terence, when did you know that you were going to beat him? Over here on your left.
When he signed the contract.
That's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.